Hi friends, as you can tell by the title of today's video, I have a very exciting collaboration video slash vlog for you guys. So I teamed up with Letitia over at Books and Bees to do this video. I told her tropes that I didn't like, she told me tropes that she didn't like, and then we decided to recommend books with those tropes to each other. So she has sent me her recommendations and let's watch them together. I have no idea what books are on this list. I'm excited to see what she gives me to read.
Hi everyone from Ashley's channel. Hi Ashley. Let me tell you a few of the books from the tropes you do not like that I absolutely adored. Like, most of the books in here are 5 stars, so I really do hope you like all of them. I will try to be as brief as possible with the synopsis because I tend to talk a lot. So yeah. For Billionaire, I chose The Master. It's about this really shady politician and this girl, Karina, where she has to start working as an escort because she is running away and she really needs some money. It's so steamy. This one is not only for billionaire romances, but also for a couple that gets together pretty quickly. Things happen very, very quickly on this book. Then for second chance romance, I have Bittersweet and Steadfast. So I would say that Steadfast, it's a little bit more second chance romance-y, and Bittersweet, I think it also fits, but you have to stretch a bit. There's something very cool about this series, which is set in Vermont, and there's these really cute farm vibes and everything is just very chill. It's very focused on food and apple picking season. The first book, it's more about Audrey and Griffin. They haven't seen each other since their hookups in college, but when they do, it's not on the best of terms, you know? And Steadfast, it has a trigger warning for an ex-drug addict. So it is, I think it's more emotional. Bittersweet was a bit lighter than the second one, but I love them both so much. Then for sports romance, I chose Pucked by Helena Hunting. Violet, it's on this game, like the after party of the hockey game, and she sees this really cute guy, Alex. He is not a complete meathead like some of the other players, and I laughed so much through this book. I just wanted to tell you that, and I would be happy if you chose this one. So just saying. And then for single parent, I have 2, again from the same author, but they're both amazing, which is One Hot Italian Summer and A Nordic King. Both these books were so sweet and fluffy and also steamy. It has kind of a slow burn to it. In One Hot Italian Summer, we see the heroine meets the hero the first time they meet. She is completely naked and he is with his son, so I think you can get a feel of the book with just this scene. And then on A Nordic King, it has a very Christmassy vibe. Like, all the books from this like Prince series have a very Christmassy vibe to me, so they're both very wholesome. But yeah, those were the books. Good luck choosing them because they are all amazing and I hope you like all of them.
I'm so excited for all of these. I have pretty much all of these on my TBR. I just hadn't heard of the Bittersweet and the other one, but I'm very, very excited for this. I'm going to try to find all of them on KU or on Scribd or something like that, and I'm going to try to read all of them by Monday. Let's get into the vlog portion of the video. I was able to find all of the books that she recommended, and I think I'm going to try to read all of them. I was able to find a couple of them on KU, but the majority of them I got audiobooks for, or I got like the ebooks through Scribd. I'm so excited. I think I'm gonna start with the 2 that I was able to find on ebook. One, Hot Italian Summer, and the other one was The Nordic King. I think they're both by the same author, but I think I'm gonna start with One Hot Italian Summer. Super excited for this. These have both been on my TBR. Yeah, these were fantastic picks. I'm so excited. And then I will listen to the audiobooks when I'm gaming and stuff like that. So right now the ferrets are out, so I can't really do much, so because I have to like watch them and stuff, but I'm super excited and I'm gonna start as soon as possible. I managed to finish One Hot Italian Summer at work today. I listened to the audiobook and I ended up giving it 4 stars. And I think this book is the perfect example of why I don't like single parent romances, because I felt like the kid was a plot device and was being used as a conflict for the couple to not be out about their relationship or possibly not get together. And he was in like 2% of the book, and because he was there and he was there so little, it reminded me that he wasn't there. And so the entire time I was like, I can't even give this 5 stars no matter how good it is, because you introduced this whole other character for nothing. And I think that's the issue. Like, if this book just didn't have a kid, this would have been great. I mean, it was great as itself, but that was like in the back of my head, was the fact that she wrote this kid into the book, didn't include him really in any of the plot, and then made him a conflict. Like, the most involved he was in the story was the very end at the conflict point. So, you know, it reminds me why I don't like kids in books and why I like actively avoid it. But I loved the couple and I loved the hero. The hero was extremely expressive and communicative about his feelings. He was very sweet but very stern, and it was sexy, and the atmosphere was fantastic. It takes place in Italy. It's basically about this woman who is in a writer's block after she lost her best friend / writing partner, who she did cozy mystery books with. And so her agent says, like, you need some inspiration, go stay at my villa in Tuscany for like a month, and then you can write your book there. And then when she gets there, she quickly realizes that the villa is actually owned by her agent's ex-husband, and their kid lives there. And then the relationship sparks up between the ex-husband Claudio and Grace, the heroine. And I mean, the scenery was beautiful, the description was beautiful, the language was gorgeous, like the audiobook was fantastic. Like, I really enjoyed their couple, their relationship, their sex scenes were hot. Like, the book itself was hot, but I just couldn't like get over the fact that they added this kid to the story unnecessarily and then just didn't even like make him a real person. She tried to add like things about him, like, to make him seem real and fleshed out, but he was never in the story. Like, he was always with a grandparent or with a family member or like away somewhere, and it just kind of like made it glaringly obvious that the kid was there for a conflict and that's it, or to like endear people to Claudio as like a single parent. And I think the large issue for me is, like, I was raised by a single parent and her whole life was me. Like, she never got a break from me because my dad wasn't around, so I was with her 24/7. She never got to go out on extravagant dates or go on a little mini vacation without me. Like, that's not realistic. And while I get it's like fiction, I feel like if I'm reading a story with children, the children need to be in the story, like, not just used as a plot device. And that's really how I felt about the child. I don't even remember his name, like Vin or something like that. So yeah, 4 stars, fantastic read. It might have been even better if the kid had not been in it, but it just reinforces for me that I don't like single parent romances or romances with kids in them. So I am going to drive home, and then I'm probably going to start Pucked, because that is the next ebook that I have on KU. But yeah, those are my thoughts. This hasn't changed my mind about single parent romances, but I did enjoy it. So it was a good recommendation despite me still not liking the trope in the book. So we'll talk later. Hi friends, I just finished filming a video, but I wanted to update you on how far I am into the master. So this is about Kat and Max. Kat is Cuban and Max is Russian, and Kat is an escort, and she is attempting to run away from her ex-husband, and she needs some money. So she takes over like a leftover shift or an abandoned shift from one of her escort friends, and she ends up with Max. I'm just gonna call him Max. He is a dirty politician, and he is like a billionaire. He quickly becomes obsessed with her after their first night together, so he hires her again, and that kind of starts their relationship. They have a captor-captive situation after Max comes inside of Kat, and he thinks that he's trying to entrap her, or he thinks she's trying to entrap him. So he takes her hostage, and I'm feeling incredibly conflicted about this. I'm like 90% of the way through, so I can tell you I'm already going to give it 4 stars. But I am in love with their relationship. Like, their banter and their chemistry is off the charts. Like, their relationship is fan-fucking-tastic. Like, I love it so much. They play off of each other very well. Max is very obsessive, but very like cold, and Kat is extremely feisty, and they just bounce off of each other incredibly well. Like, as the book goes on, you really learn to love their relationship. Like, I'm obsessed with their relationship, but I think I fucked myself by listening to the audiobook. I couldn't find it anywhere else except on Scribd with the audiobook, and the audiobook narrator is awful. She tries to do a Cuban and a Russian accent, and she's bad at both of them. And also, like, the sex scenes are indescribably bad, and I think it's in part because of the narrator and the writing of the sex scenes. The dirty talk is horrendously cringy. There are like things that they'll say to each other like right as they're orgasming, and it's gotten to the point where the sex scenes are so bad that I have to skip them. There's not a dual POV, and I'm always for a dual POV. I always think they enhance the story, they make it better, and it like brings you closer to the couple because you're really understanding the relationship from both sides. But their on-page chemistry and their relationship works so well outside of the sex scenes. That's why it's like getting a 4-star for me. But y'all, the sex is bad. Like, the dirty talk is just really bad. And there's a couple of scenes that have happened that I don't really like. There's a scene with birth control. But other than that, like, it's fucking great. And it just gets better as the story goes on. Like, it's, like I said, it's gonna be 4 stars. But this was a good pick. It's not quite as obvious that he's a billionaire. Like, it's obvious, but it kind of balances out with the heroine because she's used to having money as well. She obviously doesn't have money now, but she did growing up and all that, so the disparity between the two is not as obvious. I'm just obsessed with their couple, like their relationship. Like, I want someone to rewrite this couple with better sex scenes, and I think this would be a 5-star. Like, incredible how good their relationship is. Their chemistry, like, I'm laughing along with scenes of them together, like, enjoying each other's company. It's absolutely nutty how good they are. But it's also nutty that you can write that crazy good chemistry between two people, but have bad sex scenes. Hopefully finish the book within the next couple of, I would say 45 minutes. I think I have 2 hours left of the audiobook. I listened to it on increased speed. So good, like such a good recommendation. I'm very, very happy with this recommendation. I just kind of want someone to rewrite it. But yeah, 4 stars, like fantastic recommendation, Letitia. I'm so happy with the 2 that you've chosen so far for me to read, and I just hope that it just keeps on this trajectory because yeah, really, really good. And I'm very excited to go on to the next one. I think I'm gonna read one of the like Bittersweet or Steadfast, read one of those. The rest of the books that I have, I don't have an audio, I have ebook versions, which is fantastic because like it's the weekend, so I don't need to be listening to audiobooks really. So I'm gonna finish this one, and then we're gonna talk again when I have started another one. But wow, so good, off the charts, crazy chemistry between the characters, like just everything you'd want in a romance, except the sex scenes. Okay, so last night I ended up finishing Pucked. This is a rom-com sports romance, and it is about Alex and Violet. And Violet's stepbrother is on the same hockey team as Alex is, and they are at a like after party after a game, and they meet up and have like a chance one-night stand. I didn't like this book. The first like 40% and the last 20% were great. The lead up to them getting together and their like first encounter and them getting into like an actual relationship was great. And then the last 20% after the conflict was great as well. But the in-between, I didn't like at all. Like the ending really, really saved this from being a 2-star. This is a romantic comedy, and this comedy is just not for me. There's a lot of gross jokes that I just am not like, I don't find funny. The use of the word cooter is in there like 15 times, which honestly is disgusting to me. And just like the repetitive language used, calling a vagina a beaver, like all of that, and is just, I am not a fan. Like that's just not my brand of comedy, and I just didn't find it funny, and it really, really put off me reading this book, or me enjoying this book rather. The groveling at the end was fantastic. I will say that Letitia gave me this recommendation because it is a rom-com, which I don't like, and it's also a sports romance, which I don't like. And I will say the sports wasn't as big of a deal, or it wasn't as noticeable as like most sports romances, enough to like irritate me. Basically the entire time, the heroine is calling other women whores. She is insulting literally every woman that even comes in contact with the hero. She is insulting anybody in the book that has sex, making awful, disgusting jokes. So it wasn't for me. She was jealous all the time, and she was constantly bad-mouthing the hero, like just constantly saying he was a whore and that he was a bad person, and like I'm not a fan of all of that. So it wasn't for me. I'm not gonna keep harping on it. I'm just gonna move on to the next one, but the groveling at the end definitely kept it at a 3-star instead of a 2-star. So I am going to move on to my next book, and then we'll talk when I have read that one. 42% of the way through Bittersweet, and I might have to take back what I said about not loving soft romances. If you had told me that the small town romance of a farmer boy and a big city girl would have been a 5 stars at the beginning of this video, I would have laughed in your face. But I just gave it Bittersweet 5 stars. I'm genuinely shocked. So it's basically an enemies to lovers Grump Sunshine romance between Griffin and Audrey. And Griffin is an ex-NFL player who played football in college, and then that is where he met Audrey. They met when she was dating one of his like fraternity brothers or something like that, and they had a couple hookups, and then they hadn't seen each other in years. And then she gets recruited by her job to go to like local organic farms and get the farmers to sell her company their products, like wholesale basically, for the restaurants and stuff. And she ends up going to Griffin's family farm in Vermont, where he runs it with his mom, his 2 sisters, his brother, and then like a couple of employees that he hires like seasonally. And they focus on like organic growth of like fruits and things like that. So he was drafted to be in the NFL, and then his father died, and he obviously moved back to kind of take over the farm, but his dream has slowly evolved into making cider and selling cider. And so he has slowly made the steps to make it a like cider brewery thingy. Audrey wants to be a chef, and she wants to open her own restaurant, and she's working with this company that seems kind of soulless. And as the story goes on, she kind of sees how bad the company actually is, and like how she was really just sent there to kind of cheat the local farmers out of like money and get their crops that are very decent, like very good crops for cheap. And she like slowly realizes how bad the company is that she is working with. And she also has a very tumultuous relationship with her mom. She is a single child, and her father was a sperm donor. Mother is a very like neglectful woman. She is extremely rude, and she talks down to her daughter a lot, makes her daughter feel like she isn't worthy and she can't do anything right. And so they basically become an unlikely pairing, where Audrey has to go around to local farms, and Griffin, who knows that her company that she works for is bad, kind of goes behind her back. But she kind of gets intertwined with his family, and that's where like the relationship blooms. Is like his family is amazing. They all live on this farm, and they all have like big dinners together, and they're all very sweet and very accepting of Audrey, like right off the bat. His family is like what keeps him going. He is definitely a grump. He feels very unfulfilled in his life. He kind of feels stuck, and he doesn't know what to do. He feels very burdened by the decisions that he has to make. He feels like he's living in his dad's shadow, and he doesn't know what to do. And so that's kind of where the relationship sparks off, and it was incredible. The atmosphere was amazing, and Griffin was like so communicative, so open with his feelings. He was definitely grumpy, but their relationship was absolutely beautiful. Like, I think that they were a perfect pairing, and like the small town Vermont vibes were just like immaculate, and the farm and the family, like I'm very excited to read the rest of the books in the series, because like this was just 5 stars. So good. I think I'm going to now play some Sims and listen to the Nordic King, and then hopefully I can knock out the next book in this series. I think it's Steadfast, and it is about Jude, who we were introduced in the beginning because he had just gotten out of rehab and he needed like a place to kind of detox and not fall back into his old ways, and so he needed a job, and then he works on the farm. So you kind of see him working on the farm throughout Audrey and Griffin's story, and then at the end of that one he kind of like goes off on his own, and then this one is about him. And yeah, I'm expecting it to be pretty emotional. I know Letitia said that it's way more emotional than the first one, but I think for right now I'm going to take a break from physically reading or reading my ebooks and listen to my audiobook. But this was so good. Like Griffin might be like Rush, Pike, Griffin, top 3. Like just, I'm very surprised that I loved this as much as I did. It was just such a good recommendation, and I loved it so much, and I am like already jonesing to reread it a little bit. So very good. But I'm gonna go start Nordic King, and we'll talk later. Hi friends, I ended up finishing both of the books left that I had to read since the last time we talked. I first started and finished the Nordic King. I listened to the audiobook, and this is the nanny king romance, I guess, between Axel and I don't remember what the heroine's name is. Open up the book with a scene of Axel, who is the king of Denmark, has discovered that his wife is cheating on him with her bodyguard or like his assistant or something like that, and he confronts them, and the confrontation ends in a car accident that kills his wife. The heroine gets a job interview to be a nanny for his 2 kids, Clara and Freya. When he initially sees her, he's like, yeah, I'm not interested, like send in another nanny, but his children instantly like the heroine and want her as their nanny. And so their relationship goes from there. I did give this 3 stars. When I say I don't like single parents, this is like an exception. I've read the nanny trope many times, and I've liked pretty much all of the ones that I've read because the kids are a central part of the book, because that's her job, right? But I still gave this one 3 stars. Like, it was cute. It wasn't overly complicated. There wasn't a whole lot going on, and I think that's kind of what lost me a little bit. It's definitely a little angsty because obviously, you know, they are hiding from not only paparazzi, which I don't super love, but also like the royal family, like all of his family members and the staff and his kids, like all of it. So there is definitely that angst level there, but like it just didn't really do much for me. I did like the relationship. I did think that they had good, strong chemistry, and I could see them together, but it just was kind of meh. So then we will go on to the last read for this vlog, and that was Steadfast. This is the second book in that Sarina Bowen series, and this is about Jude, who is a recovering drug addict. Bittersweet, we see him after he has just left rehab, and he needs a job and a place to kind of like separate himself from his hometown. And so he works at the farm, and a couple months in after the events of the first one, the farm doesn't need him anymore, so he has to move back to his hometown and move in with his dad, who owns a like auto parts place. And so he moves in back to his hometown, and immediately he starts having some issues. So obviously this is a lot heavier than the first one. Back in his hometown, where he knows where the drug dealers are, like he knows all of that. He knows the people that could get him back falling into his old ways. But in addition to that, Sophie was a girl that he dated when he was in high school. In the midst of their relationship, he kind of became addicted to Oxy, and she knew but didn't want to accept it, and he thought he was hiding it from her, and she knew nothing about it. He is incredibly high, and him and her brother are in the car, and it results in a car crash that kills her brother. And he ends up going to prison for manslaughter, and then he goes from prison to rehab to now back into this town. Her dad is the sheriff of the small town, so not only is he dealing with the emotional turmoil of constantly battling his addiction, but also this grief that's weighing on him, him being possibly causing the death of someone, and knowing that the love of his life is in this town could possibly be hating him, that everybody in this town hates him and just thinks that he's like this drug addict that's good for nothing. In addition to that, his father is an alcoholic, and he doesn't really try to keep the business afloat, so it really falls on Jude to keep the business going. And so you are seeing him going to meetings, he is working, and he's also volunteering at a local church when they do a food bank, and that is where he runs into Sophie. Now, Sophie originally wanted to be like a Broadway singer, and that's kind of always been her aspirations. When her brother died, her mother really fell into her grief and was no longer functioning, so she had to move back in with her parents to take care of her mother. In addition to that, her father is incredibly abusive to her, very neglectful, very cold, and he does abuse her several times in this book. He is also very against any sort of interaction of her and Jude, and so when they meet again in the soup kitchen or the church, they end up, you know, starting up a relationship that they have to keep on the down low. And I gave this 4 stars. I did give Bittersweet 5 stars, but I gave this one 4 stars. Do still get like the Vermont vibes because he is closely following like the Griffin's family and all that, but I think it lost a little bit of that charm, and I think there's a huge difference in atmosphere between this one and the second one. This one is a lot more emotional, and the town that he's in just feels very gritty and dark, and you just feel you're feeling his struggles. And I will say this is like the smallest slivers away from a 5-star, but this one just didn't have like, I didn't get the same giddiness from their relationship. I definitely felt all of the emotions and all of the pain, but I just didn't have like that spark for them. Like I definitely thought that they were good together and all that, but I would have liked a little bit more of them seeing how they would work in the present. This is a lot of the issues that I have with like Second Chance in particular, is when they do the flashbacks, the author kind of relies heavily on your belief going in that they worked well as kids, so they're going to work well as adults. And I will say this one didn't rely too heavily on flashbacks. We got a couple here and there, but we didn't really see them building a relationship in the present. They just kind of had that flame from when they were kids. I will say it's only been like 3 or 4 years, but they are adults at this point. They're in their mid 20s, and both of them have been through substantial things. You can tell that they are very different people from who they were when they were, you know, 18, when they were last together. So I would have just liked a little bit more there. I think because the relationship was being kept a secret and they had to do everything in secret, and it was all kind of just revolving around their physical attraction, the emotional connectability to them was lost a little bit, and they got to a point where like they were just physically attracted to each other, and then the actual like love feelings came up, and we were relying a little too heavily on the fact that they were in love when they were kids. But it was incredibly emotional. I loved Jude. Like, he broke my heart, and the ending was absolutely beautiful. And yeah, I loved them as a couple, so I am very excited to move on to the rest of the books in the series. I am most drawn to Zach, which I think his book is next. But overall, this was a fantastic recommendation list. I had One Hot Italian Summer, which was a 4-star. I had The Master, which was a 3-star or a 4-star. I had The Nordic King, which was a 3-star. I had Pucked, which was a 2-star. I had Bittersweet, which was a 5-star. And then I had this one, Steadfast, which was a 4-star. So altogether, I found a series that I feel like I'm absolutely going to love, and I found some new favorites. I think that this was a fantastic success, and that's going to be it for the vlog. Make sure you check out Letitia's video down below and subscribe to her channel if you haven't already. I will leave that linked. But other than that, comment your thoughts down below, and if you don't want to leave a comment, if you don't have anything to say, comment your favorite emoji down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I will catch you in my next one.